Do any of you know any revenge stories that teachers have taken against students? I make soap and candles as a hobby. Since I taught culinary arts, all of my candles looked and smelled like real food. During my first year at my last school, I came to this campus with 24 years of prior teaching experience. Prior to our winter break, I gave each of my colleagues a gift of one of my soap or candles. I gave Ms. R this candle. As you can see from the picture, it looked and smelled just like a shortbread glazed berry tart. Unbeknownst to me, Ms. R had been having a problem with recurring theft. Someone kept getting into her desk or her refrigerator snacks, candy, and even sandwiches. Ms. R took a pair of scissors and cut out the wicks. She then put a napkin on her desk and placed the tart on the napkin. During one of her classes, a student abruptly gagged, jumped out of his seat, and raced out of the room. A security camera caught him running down to the bathroom, where he allegedly threw up. Mrs. R found the candle on the floor by the student's desk. Someone had bitten into it and spat it out. She and the student and the school's assistant principal were later able to have a long talk about theft. I had a couple of boys who were drawing penises all over the desks in my room. At first, I tried to erase them quickly and didn't comment because I didn't want to give the culprits any oxygen, but instead it was getting worse. New tactic? The next day, I stood in front of each and every class and wondered out loud why anyone would feel the need to draw a picture of their penis on my desks. Were they worried they would forget what it looked like? Did they need to produce proof that they had one? Were they very proud of it and wanted to share? I am about the same age as my 6th grade students' grandmothers. Forcing them to sit there watching me say the word penis with a deadpan straight face about 25 times over the course of about 3 or 4 minutes was excruciating for them. I made it until the end of the day. By that time, they knew what was going to happen and were still mortified. I finally lost my cool, and the whole class started laughing with me. It was great. Those kids are 9th graders now. It is still legendary. It has been 3 years and no one has ever drawn a penis on the furniture in my classroom since. The chemistry teacher that I co-taught with had a really entitled student that also liked to sleep in class every day and then would mouth off when he'd wake him up. Said student also spent quite a bit of time demanding his grades get changed to as when he did nothing. At any rate, one day when the student was taking his daily nap, the teacher pulled at a pair of iron spheres that he'd spent the last few weeks rusting and began lecturing the class on the reaction he was about to create. He then proceeded to wrap one sphere in aluminum foil and walked behind the sleeping student. He then quickly banged the spheres together, producing a small explosion and a very loud noise. The student woke up abruptly with a scream and nearly fell out of his chair in his panic while the rest of the class was laughing. I had a class where you gathered information in groups of 4, but you all had to write your own report. I was gone one day when a report had to be turned in, and as I was grading them, started seeing the same consistent answers. Found 11 that had the same everything in the written portion, so I graded it. But by sheer luck, they scored an 88. Since they worked as one mind, I gave everyone their individual share of points. So as I was handing the papers out to the whole class and talking about why half the room had 800ths on their test, the other half of the class started ribbing them. "We told you. He'd know. He'd have the rules. He's not that stupid." One kid rolled out of his chair, he was laughing so hard. Fully expected a parent complaint but never got one. Also didn't have a problem with group answers the rest of the year in all my classes. That reminds me of the time in a group project, my friend and I did all the work, even staying during lunch to finish it, and jokingly asked if we had to put the other 2 people's names on it after they did nothing, and our teacher said, "Go ahead, I'd be happy to have a reason not to give them points." I once had my kids do a flood drill. They had to take their shoes off, hold them above their heads, and sit on their stools with the feet on the highest rung to not get their feet wet. I sold it with the look, "It's a safety drill, we have to do it." I also had a day where I was telling the students something, and one was skeptical, called me a liar. Another came to my defense, not that I needed it, and vehemently declared I would never lie to them. I proceeded to teach them about something that is most certainly a lie, but with the straightest face and all the sincerity behind a normal lesson. It took 15 minutes before little skeptic revealed that they Googled it and it was fake. White Knight again defended me, until he saw my evil grinning. I told them all that while I appreciate their blind trust in me, and that I don't like about things that matter or are important. This was a lesson in not following authority blindly and to question things. Another time I passed out brown E's to my most annoying class after asking if they would like any brown E's. I was a third-grade teacher at a private school and dealt with an awful child and his horrible parents. Out of my hundreds of students, he might be the one sociopath I've had. His parents blamed everyone else, including me, for his behavior. I moved to another private school, one of the top 3 in the state, acceptance rate of about 16%. To make full time, I started helping in the admissions department. This same family reached out to me on Facebook and asked me to write him a recommendation. You can imagine how that went. They were so confident he would get in, they didn't reapply for the next year at his current school. Yeah, I hate to say, but it felt good. What revenge stories do you know? Write in the comments and maybe your story will be featured in the next video. Please like and subscribe, it will greatly help the improvement of my channel.